All right, let's talk about money, but probably not in the way you're used to. We often think about financial goals as just numbers in an account. But what if I told you there's a specific number, a specific amount of money that's less about the cash and more about a complete psychological reset? Today, we're going to talk about that exact tipping point. You know that feeling, right? It's 3 in the morning, your eyes are wide open, and your brain is just running a marathon of what-ifs. What if the car makes that weird noise again? What if the dog gets sick? It's this low-level hum of financial anxiety that just lives in the back of your mind. I think a lot of us have been there.
Well, it turns out there's something of an antidote to that 3 a.m. panic. And no, it's not winning the lottery. It's not $1 million. It's $10,000. Now, that's not some random figure pulled out of thin air. It's this sort of magical amount that's just big enough to absorb most of life's common curveballs, and having it can fundamentally change the way you move through the world.
To really understand why that number is so powerful, first we have to look at the flip side. What's life like without that buffer? I call it life below zero. It's a state where you're not really living, you're just playing defense 24/7.
When you're living paycheck to paycheck, you are on high alert all the time. Every single unplanned expense, no matter how small, doesn't just feel like a hassle. It feels like a potential catastrophe, like this is the domino that's going to knock everything else over. It is an incredibly exhausting way to live. And that stress, it shows up in 1,000 tiny ways every single day. You're standing in the grocery store, just staring at 2 boxes of pasta, and in your head, you're running a full-blown cost-benefit analysis over a 50-cent difference.
Or, your friends text you, hey, want to grab dinner? And your first thought isn't, oh, that sounds fun. It's an instant panicked calculation of whether a $25 meal is going to blow up your entire weekly budget, forcing you to come up with some lame excuse.
And then, of course, there's the classic. That little check engine light flickers on in your car. To someone with a safety net, it's an annoyance. But to you, it feels like a ticking time bomb. Your stomach just sinks because you know you have absolutely no plan for a $1,000 repair bill. All of this constant calculating, worrying, and strategizing, it actually has a name. It's called decision fatigue. Think about your brain's energy like a phone battery. Every single one of those small, stressful money decisions drains it a little bit. By the end of the day, you are just completely spent. You have no mental bandwidth left for the bigger, more important stuff.
Okay, so that's the before picture. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because once you cross that $10,000 threshold, something amazing happens. It's like you get a massive psychological upgrade. Your entire mental operating system changes. And the difference is it's night and day. You shift from a survival mindset to an opportunity mindset. You stop playing defense and you finally get to play offense. Decisions that used to be rooted in fear are now made from a place of confidence, and that check engine light, it goes from a full-blown panic attack to just a minor annoyance.
And listen, this isn't just some feel-good idea. There's real science here. Your relationship with risk literally changes. Studies have shown that financial security actually lowers your cortisol levels. That's your body's main stress hormone. This gives you the actual confidence to ask for a raise at work, and it frees up the mental space to think about next year, not just next week.
This all leads to something called the emergency fund effect. And here's the crazy part. The real power of that $10,000 isn't in spending it. In fact, you hope you never have to. The true benefit is the incredible peace of mind you get just from knowing it's there. It's the ultimate safety net.
So you're probably thinking, okay, this sounds amazing, but how in the world do I get there? Well, here's the secret. The goal isn't just to save money. The real goal is to change your identity.
The biggest hurdle for most people isn't the math. It's internalizing the identity of being a person who saves. A lot of people treat saving like a crash diet. They go all in, get miserable, and then quit. But people who succeed make it a fundamental part of who they are.
So how do you do that? You start small, like ridiculously small. Being consistent with $25 a month is way more powerful for building the habit than trying to save $500 once and then stopping. I'm not gonna lie, that first $1,000 is the absolute hardest, but the second 1,000 gets a little easier. And by the time you're on your way to 5, the process is almost automatic because your identity is already shifted.
So once you've built that identity and you've reached that goal, your entire financial world changes. And it creates this incredible ripple effect that touches every other part of your life.
Let's get practical again. That $10,000 number is powerful because it's big enough to neutralize the vast majority of things that derail people's lives.
a major car repair, a surprise medical bill, even losing your job for a few months, that 10 grand turns these potential catastrophes into manageable problems. It's your financial shield.
And the result is this amazing positive feedback loop. You literally start sleeping better. Your relationships get better because money isn't a constant source of stress. You can walk into a job interview with the quiet confidence of someone who doesn't need the job. You finally have the brain space to spot opportunities, to think about investing, to think about building real wealth because you're no longer just trying to survive.
And that really brings us to the most important point of all. The $10,000, it's a fantastic goal. It's a huge achievement, but it's not the real prize. The real prize is the person you have to become to get there. The discipline, the confidence, the new mindset, that is the true reward. That transformation is priceless.